where he also urged the Kenya National Innovation Agency to develop policies.
The Kenya National Innovation Agency must now initiate and develop appropriate policies to promote collaborations and mobilize resources to support innovators.
The government is in the meantime proposing a new bill that will see startups in innovation benefit from a startup kitty.
And here I also pledge that the government of Kenya, as I said earlier, we are processing a startups bill that will also help scale up and de-risk startups and give them the opportunity to grow into enterprises.
Your Excellency, we are also announcing a collaboration between the Kenya National Innovation Agency and Huawei Technologies Kenya Company Limited. And we do hope that when this collaborative framework is concluded, it will be able to drive innovative 5G and advanced connectivity solutions between Kenya and Huawei Technologies Kenya.
The National Innovation Agency was set up to try and develop and manage the national innovation system. Now, you can't manage something you can't track very well, and you can't progress if you can't quantify the milestones that you're making. So what we set out to do this year is to lay the foundation. So the agency has been in operation for about 2 years. So last year we set the Innovation Week, and now the second time. So this year we did the baseline of the national innovation system.
Cabinet has approved efforts to scale up drought responses aimed at alleviating the suffering of over 4.5 million Kenyans still in need of humanitarian assistance. To address the impact of climate change blamed for the prolonged drought, the Apex Decision Body resolved that all public engagements are presided by the President, his deputy, and all other cadres of state or public offices will be marked by planting trees as a way of increasing the country's forest cover.
The Cabinet on Tuesday held its fourth meeting chaired by President William Ruto. The meeting reviewing the current status and interventions put in place to address the impact of devastating drought that is affecting over 4 million Kenyans. The meeting resolving to scale up drought responses aimed at alleviating the sufferings of the households affected. The intervention, according to a dispatch from the Cabinet, will continue targeting the vulnerable and save lives and preserve livelihoods. A long-term solution to address the devastating effects of climate change and desertification, the Cabinet approved the National Tree Growing Restoration Campaign, which targets to mobilize the nation in planting 15 billion trees by the year 2030. The meeting also reiterated the commitment to actualize the Gender Equality Plan to boost Kenya's socio-economic development. To address the threats of dumping of cheap subsidized imports, the Cabinet directed the Ministry of Trade and Investment to operationalize the Trade Remedy Agency and the Trade Negations Council, Good to the Country, and Counterfeits. The meeting also sanctioned the revitalization of football in a national effort that will include the rebuilding of the national men's team and women's national team. In addition, it was announced that this year's Jamhuri Day will be marked through ICT-themed national celebration, which will be preceded by an innovation week that was formally inaugurated by the President.
To matters security, where Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has assured the opposition of government's intention to deploy security operations during the planned consultation rallies in Nairobi. The CS, however, said the ministry will need a detailed itinerary of the planned meetings for proper planning. Kindiki, however, urged Azimio to picket peacefully.
With the Azimio leaders now determined to have what it termed as public engagement meeting this Wednesday in Jamhuri Day, the government says it's ready to deploy adequate security but with conditions.
We have finite human resources to deploy, and these human resources are in competition. The economy is competing for the number of police officers we have, so we cannot deploy the entire contingent of the entire police service just because of one section of society.
While acknowledging the constitutionality of the freedom of assembly, the CS insisted that it must be done peacefully and in a way that shall not cause chaos or interrupt other people's businesses.
We will not politicize the matter. We don't want to be drawn into political discussions around the matter. We will remain professional. We expect those who are engaging this activity to respect our constitution and the law.
On matters of security in the country's capital city, Kindiki affirmed that the government has restored calm and peace as the country enters the festive season.
We are able to interact with Nairobians in downtown areas such as Tomboya, Bus Station, Nyamakima, Mudhurwa, and Country Bus Station. The traders and citizens who live and work in Nairobi, and especially in those areas, told me that security had improved, in their own words, and that they were happy with the measures that we had taken.
Well, now those rallies are set to commence at least today, where political pundits are questioning exactly what is the ODM leader up to. My guess is as good as yours. We will wait and see at a time when government maintains that it's not going to be dragged in any sort of political conversation, but it will be looking out for matters of security, for both the attendants, the callers of the rallies, or rather meetings if you like, and also businesses around the central business district. Now, former President Uhuru Kenyatta says he's encouraged that all of the representatives of the rebel groups in the Democratic Republic of Congo present at the Nairobi peace process have said they are willing to lay down their arms. He said the meeting set up a framework that would lead to peace after more than 2 decades of war in DRC Congo.
A week-long summit to try and restore peace in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has officially ended. There was a number of agreements, including fully funding of disarmament and stabilization program for former rebels and the release of prisoners with no criminal records or conviction.
Hakuna ulinzi wa mazingara ambao unawezekana bila kuhusisha jamii ambazo zinaishi kando ya hiyo misitu. Hiyo amekubali. Na amesema hiyo atatangaza, na yeye mwenyewe ataitana mkutano ndio watu waweze kujadiliana, ya kwanza vile wengine ambao wameteseka kwa sababu ya mambo haya wataweza kuhusishwa kulinda hiyo misitu, kulinda hawa wanyama, aidha kama askari wa mbuga ama kama forest wardens, na pia vile wataweza kuhusishwa kwa miradi ya maendeleo ambaye ni eco-friendly. Si munaelewa vile nasema?
Former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who facilitated the process, said the meeting set up a framework that would lead to peace after more than 2 decades war in Congo.
Tuheshimu na tutunze wakina mama wetu. Kwa sababu yale nimesikia ambao vijana wametenda ni mambo ya aibu, ni mambo ya kishetani. Ni jukumu letu. Ni jukumu letu kama viongozi, haswa nyinyi viongozi wa mashinani, muambie wafuasi wenu, jameni, hata kama tuko na shida mbali na serikali, hii mambo ya kinyama haswa kwa wakina mama na watoto lazima yakome, na yakome kabisa.
Kenyatta said DRC Congo President Felix Tshisekedi had agreed to form up a committee to investigate claims of indiscriminate arrests that have occurred in the country's eastern region.
Tutaunda kamati pamoja na viongozi wa kijamii ambao wako hapa, na mimi nikamwambia hata mimi nataka kuwa ndani ya hiyo kamati, na ndio tuchunguze majina haya yote, na wale wote ambao hawana hatia wawachiliwe mara moja, warudi makwao.
So this is not new. That shows really that we are facing terrorists and violent groups that need to be dealt with by the region.
It was also agreed that the work will also be done for communities living in mining areas near national parks to see how they could benefit from the mines and conservation efforts.
We look forward to a lasting solution in the DR Congo. Now, Kenya Kwanza Alliance will support a bill that anchors the position of the official leader of opposition in what is seen as a ploy to reach out to Azimio leader Raila Odinga. In multiple interviews, members of the coalition confirmed that the President, William Ruto, in his engagement with members of Parliament Monday night, instructed them to push for a constitutional bill to give the opposition leader an office and a budget funded by the Exchequer. John Jacob Curia with the details.
Given that the Azimio Brigade is already drafting a bill seeking to anchor the position of the official leader of opposition in the Constitution with a fully functional office and a budget funded by the taxpayer, it is now emerging that the Kenya Kwanza coalition will back the proposal against the expectation that they would oppose it. During a private session with MPs Monday night, President Ruto instructed his allies to throw their weight behind a constitutional amendment that would anchor the position in the Constitution.
Many of you remember when he was at Chatham House earlier this year in February, he did indicate that he supports the idea of an office of the leader of official opposition. I think it's just out of that he's now proposing to Parliament to consider that proposal to set up the office of leader of opposition.
It will open up official channels of communication between government and the opposition, such that Raila Odinga doesn't have to call for Kamkunju to have a parallel run. He is recognized in law, so he can come to Jamhuri Park during Jamhuri Day, and he is recognized and he will be given an opportunity to speak. If he wants to address Parliament, he will be invited as official opposition leader in Parliament and come and address Parliament.
Agreed collectively that any proposal that may come to support the leader of opposition, the official leader of opposition, we will be supporting that, because anytime we are making laws, we should not make laws from the point that is of comfort to you. You also need to look at when the issue is on the other side.
In a chess master move, the coalition says it has its own proposals on how the office will be set up and operate, appearing to drift away from the bill proposed by Azimio that is yet to make its way to the floor of the House.
The President has not had a sitting with the minority side to agree on a proposal. He has his own proposal, and it were his thoughts as early as February. Probably the opposition has borrowed from what the President said at Chatham House and now proposed to have their own proposal, which we have not seen. We've just heard about it in the media.
That's the one of the office that the President is pushing for, whereby they can have an office, they can be infrastructure, they can be vehicles, they can be able to put the government on top. Therefore, he's ready for the opposition to come up and raise issues whenever we are not doing right, and even the government in our budget to be able to put them and to finance them and to fund them so that they can be able to conceptualize and also actively work out on opposition.
Our support to have a proper leader of opposition is because the President feels that this government needs a proper check, and you cannot be able to have somebody checking on you when they have challenges, basic challenges like transport, like an office that operates a well-equipped office. And that's one of the things he was appealing to us, that it's important to have a very robust opposition.
Seeing that the opposition leader Raila Odinga has continued to exert pressure on the Ruto administration, including planned consultation rallies in Nairobi, the Kenya Kwanza coalition has however refuted that supporting the proposal to empower the opposition leader is an enticement to Raila.
A bill for the office of the opposition could be an office given to the opposition as a whole, to appoint the person to lead it, not necessarily the person who vied as the presidential candidate. So we have no problem with the, and you know, I speak from my point of view personally. This is not the view of the Kenya Kwanza coalition. This is my view. But I think it is good to have an opposition that works. Laws are not, they don't operate retrogressively. So ideally, is only that we've had an opposition leader for the past 2 regimes who is Raila Odinga, and the perception that he is a handshake in another format is not true.
The members of the National Assembly who convened at a Nairobi hotel for a 2-day legislative conference were briefed on President Ruto's legislative agenda for the year 2023, even as they convened for a special sitting on Thursday.
Now, members of staff in the State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunication have been called upon to serve the country with integrity and without bias. Speaking after taking over the mantle of leadership from former Broadcasting and Telecommunication Principal Secretary Esther Koimet, the new Principal Secretary, Professor Edward Kisiangani, says there is a need for public officers to have the Constitution as a guiding principle so as to achieve better service delivery to Kenyans.
Broadcasting and Telecommunications Principal Secretary Professor Edward Kisiangani says the nation will only make strides if those entrusted with service delivery carry out their mandate with utmost dedication.
You serve with integrity because every office you occupy it in public trust, and it is stated in the Constitution.
Professor Kisiangani says the Constitution is the yardstick of effective service delivery, especially in government.
We are serving on behalf of the main boss, who is the people. If you understand that, you will perform your duties very well. It is the people who have given us the mandate through delegation. So if we forget that and we serve ourselves, then we lose it. These people can punish us very badly.
Professor Kisiangani spoke when he took over the department's accounting duties from the outgoing PS Esther Koimet. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Water says it plans to ensure all Kenyans have access to the rare commodity and improve irrigation acreage to 1.8 million from the current 675,000 acreage.
So we are taking the call by the President very seriously in terms of dams construction as one strategy. That means we are going to ensure that we build sufficient infrastructure accompanied by development of water resources in bulk.
And I will be reaching to various partners who are willing to work with us and engaging them working with the county government so that we can really deliver on this critical mandate where the issue of resources to do with money is a challenge. But I believe there are a number of well-wishers who wish to support.
We understand this work, and we know we have the support of the IS office, we have the support of our CS, and we have no reason why we should not deliver for the Kenyan people. The irrigation agenda is very, very important and dear to our president. He has put it across as such, and we have assured him we are up to the task.
The leader spoke during the handing over of the two departments at Maj House, Nairobi.
From Maji House, now let's look at those stories that are making headlines from the corridors of justice, where the High Court has withdrawn murder charges leveled against Sarah Wairimo and businessman Peter Karanja in a case which the two had been implicated in the death of Dutch businessman Tob Cohen. In a judgment delivered by Justice Daniel Ogembo, the duo had been discharged and not acquitted, as fresh charges can be leveled against them in a case if new evidence is presented. The Director of Public Prosecution has been given a go-ahead to file a judicial inquest on the murder of the late businessman before the Chief Magistrate's Court. Serafina Roby with the details.
The mystery behind the murder of the late Dutch businessman Tob Cohen is yet to be unraveled. The High Court has allowed the Director of Public Prosecution to withdraw the murder case against Cohen's widow, Sarah Wairimo, and businessman Peter Karanja, and order the DPP to file a judicial inquest at the Chief Magistrate's Court. This comes to the dismay of the late Cohen's family, who had opposed the withdrawal, saying it was in bad faith as the DPP had not given them written reasons for the withdrawal. In the judgment, Justice Daniel Ogembo says the two have been discharged and not acquitted, hence can be charged afresh in case of new evidence. However, the judge did not grant Werimo's request of an order directing the state security agency to release the matrimonial home to her together with her car and a pet dog.
Confirm that when this incident occurred, you did not report to any relative or even your bodyguard.
Meanwhile, East Africa Legislative Assembly nominated Member of Parliament David Sankok has been put to task to explain a report he allegedly recorded with the police over threatening messages found in the police occurrence book regarding his former driver Raphael Kapaye Torome. This is after the indications that the report allegedly recorded by Sankok had been disputed by the then OCS Narok police station, where the offence was initially reported.
On the 25th day of April, you appeared in Narok police station to try and have a statement recorded in Narok police station. Confirm that you appeared there.
No, I did not appear to trial, but the OB was given to me.
It was given to you?
Yes. And I think
Sankok denied any involvement in the interference of the OB as alleged. The hearing continues on the 23rd of March 2023. Four suspects in the collapsed building in Kirigiti that killed 5 people have been charged with manslaughter before a Kiambu court. Albert Kamau Mwangi, the owner of the building, Ayub Nganga Munge, Wallace Gathu Mochu, and Charles Macharia Mwangi pleaded not guilty to the 5 counts of manslaughter. The owner of the building that collapsed was released on a bond of 2 million shillings or an alternative of 2 similar sureties or a cash bail of 500,000 Kenyan shillings. The other 3, all Kiambu County officials, were released on a cash bill of 200,000 Kenyan shillings each or a bond of 1 million shillings.
The accused persons are considered innocent until proven guilty, and there is no compelling reasons which have been advanced on why they should be denied bond.
The matter will be mentioned on the 30th of January, with the hearing scheduled for the 30th of March 2023.
From Kiambu to Meru, where members of the County Assembly have tabled a fresh motion to impeach Governor, that is Kawira Mwangaza. Abogate West, a member of County Assembly Dennis Kiogora, tabling the new notice of motion of impeachment, wants the Governor impeached on accounts of gross misconduct.
There seems to be no let-up in the ongoing tough wars in Meru County. The Assembly has once again put in motion an attempt to impeach Governor Kawira Mwangaza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the first drive containing the evidence in support for the impeachment of the Governor of Meru County.
A Bangote West member of County Assembly Dennis Kiogora says the governor must be stripped of her mandate because she is allegedly unfit to hold public office.
Grossly violated Articles 10, 232, 235 and 236 of the Constitution. Grossly violated Section 17 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. Grossly violated Sections 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64 and 65 and of the County Governments Act. Grossly violated Section 6 and 11 of the Meru County Youth Service Act 2018 and grossly violated Section 4 of the Public Appointments.
The High Court had initially stayed the impeachment process, but the ward representatives insist that the governor has overstayed her welcome.
And the governor's continued stay in office under the prevailing toxic environment will inevitably undermine effective and efficient service delivery and thus hurt the interest of the people of Meru County.
The governor has repeatedly absolved herself from any wrongdoing and instead accused the Assembly of witch hunt.
The case of who is going to blink first, pitting embattled governor there, Kawira Mwangaza, the first female governor of Meru County, against the MCAs there. We'll see what happens. But for now, we take a quick breather. We'll be back with what has been making news in matters business as well as a sporting arena. Do not go away.
Casemiro. Into the box, was looking for Richarlison. They're doing a lot of work in terms of trying to put him in the pocket. And second ball, 3-0. Brazil are roping to victory here. And moreover, in any answers, these South Korean players, 2002.
And listen, it's only Brazil that can make it look so beautiful. It's nice. He got a ball, double pass, played him, and then one touch play from, I think, Meru. And all he needed to do was to finish. It's so beautiful. They make it look so good.
Hayawi huwa kinyang'anyiro cha kombe la dunia nchini Qatar chang'oa nanga Novemba 20 hadi Disemba 18, huku timu 32 zikiwania taji. KBC Channel 1 inakupa fursa ya kutizama mbashara kipute hicho kutoka Qatar nyumbani kwako. Runinga ya KBC Channel 1 inakukaribisha kwenye kipindi cha Dunda Qatar.
Nakwambia kwamba baba, alama ya reli ni Dunda Qatar.
Na tunakuja nyumbani pale mtaani pale ambapo upo wewe mwenyewe, huku ukijishindia zawadi chungu nzima.
Hapa kumejaa vitu kocho.
Jongea. Shabiki kwenye Dunda Qatar. Ukitazama unashinda. KBC Channel 1, wenzio wa dhati michezoni.
Welcome back. If you tuned in, this is In the Headlines, and I'm Regina Manyara. Now we speak business, where sending money between bank accounts and mobile money platforms will attract charges from next month. The central bank says it is reintroducing the charges that were waived nearly 3 years ago at the height of COVID-19 as a relief to Kenyans affected by the coronavirus disruptions.
COVID pandemic, the Central Bank of Kenya waived charges on various digital money transactions to facilitate a transition towards cashless transactions, as handling of cash was deemed to spread the virus. Since then, the Central Bank says monthly value of person-to-person transactions have increased from 234 billion shillings to 399 billion shillings respectively. The monthly value of transactions between payment service providers and banks to that effect increased from 157 billion shillings to 800 billion shillings. The central bank is ending the waiver period, but promises that new charges, which will be lower than the initial charges before the pandemic, will be effected from January. The revised maximum charges for transfers from bank accounts to mobile money wallets will be reduced by up to 61%, and mobile money wallets to bank accounts by up to 47%. The CBK will also use its pricing principles as the guiding framework for setting tariffs and charges for mobile money services, paying keen attention to affordability. Tariffs for pay bills that are used to collect and disburse funds by businesses, companies and institutions, such as schools and utilities, will also be reduced by on average 50% of the pre-COVID charges. The CBK has also announced charges levied by banks for bank-to-mobile money transactions, which will be reduced by on average 45%.
Now that takes us to sports, where the cabinet approved the rebuilding of the Harambee Stars and the Harambee Starlets with the aim of qualifying for the 2030 FIFA World Cup. It also okayed the proposal for Kenya to host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON alongside EAC partner states to further regional integration. So now we will be looking forward to see how this then is going to impact on our local football scene, given that also FIFA's ban of Kenya was lifted just a few days ago. Now let's focus on the global showpiece that is the World Cup Qatari 2022. So yesterday, the last round of 16, we saw Brazil take on South Korea there. Brazil carrying the day, having scored 4 against South Korea's solitary goal. Then Morocco, that was a match that was exciting, electrifying, so to speak. Atlas of Morocco, they're carrying the day after extra time that went into penalties, scoring 3 goals against the big shots Spain there, 0. Quite something. We're still talking about that. And also Portugal, yesterday night's last match that was held at 10 p.m. Portugal there squaring it out with Switzerland, and they scored a cool 6 goals against Switzerland's solitary goal there. And my colleague Victor there went to mention that the greatest of all time, none other than Cristiano Ronaldo, was missing in the team. But nonetheless, Portugal sails through. So it means Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi are still within the World Cup that is happening in Qatar. So we take a break in as far as matters of World Cup are concerned, to give maybe time for the teams to actually recoup, and we are going to be back with the World Cup on Friday. And looking at Friday, we have heavyweights there for the quarterfinals, and we are going to be having at 6 p.m. Friday, which happens to be the 9th of December. We are going to have Croatia and Brazil at 6 p.m. as well as Netherlands taking on Argentina at 10 p.m. Saturday, for the quarterfinals, we're going to have Morocco squaring it off with Portugal. That's a match to watch at 6 p.m. And still on Saturday, that happens to be 10th December at 10. The heavyweight match of all matches, bound to be very electrifying. England will be taking on defending champs France. I do not know where your team and your allegiance lies, but may the best team win. That's best but a recap of what is happening in the sporting arena, and you can get further details on our website. That is www.kbc.co.ke. To you, Victor.
As anti-Ruto rallies begin, litmus test for Raila as anti-Ruto rallies begin, and many say that many MPs say his supporters fatigued after his quote-unquote painful loss in August. How is that going to be today? Let's wait and see. Baby Travis was victim of parent fight. That's according to KNH, Kenyatta National Hospital. Yesterday said that Travis Maina, the toddler who had a fork djembe lodged in his head, could have been a victim of a fight involving his parents. After learning about the death of her son, the CEO said that the mother wailed, saying that the djembe had been aimed at her by the husband. Twist of events. Wajir parents after alter birth certificates to marry off teen daughters. This according to the head teacher at Malkagufu Primary School, I beg your pardon, in Bura, Wajir County, who made an unusual announcement at the school assembly, saying that he actually asked the pupils to volunteer the names of PEs who are out of school despite being of school-going age in that particular area. Worrying trend there. Over 3.5 million kids to miss school next year. That's according to a lobby group. Some of the worst affected counties and Mandera and Wajir. In Mandera, Garissa, Wajir, Turkana and Marsabit are among the worst affected counties, with Mandera having the highest number of school dropouts of 295,470 children aged between 4 to 17 years. Increased capitation to 7,500 primary school heads Tell State. Currently, the capitation stand at 1,400 per child. They now want the capitation reviewed and increased to about 7,500 per child per year. The current capitation per learner in secondary school is 22,244 shillings. Very quickly, Baby Travis, you can take a look at that story. It's all fleshed out there for you on page 4 and 5. Raila's big test as anti-Ruto rallies begin at Kamkunji. Many MPs say that Azimio leaders, faithful supporters are fatigued after the painful loss in August. That is going to be happening today in what he says a consultative meeting. MPs want officials who failed to act on House resolutions jailed. Mungatana bill proposes 6-month jail term or 500,000 shillings fine or both to force action. That is an interesting development there. And in the county of Homa Bay election officer rubbishes claims that Kidero claims defends Wanga win. Homa Bay election officer rubbishes Kidero claims defends Wanga win. That is Homa Bay IBC returning officer Frederick Apopa, who on Monday defended results used to announce Gladys Wanga winner of the governor race. Apopa declared Wanga and her deputy Oyugi Magwanga of ODM the winner with 244,559 votes against their competitor Evans Kidero and his running mate Elijah Kodo, who garnered 154,182 votes. So the case is still on as we speak. And of course, you can take a look at that story where we told you that no boarding schools for pupils in grade 1 to 9 as parents were told during the summit in Mombasa by the PS. Belio Kipsang. That's all on the Star. Seth.
All right. Most of the stories have been mentioned in the Star, but I'll just give you an update on what this paper is saying still on some of those stories. On the fork in baby's head was aimed at mother. Apart from that, the mother had also accused the hospital of negligence, saying that if they acted swiftly, then maybe the boy would not have died. And also, she further told the committee, that is the Senate committee, the Senate Health Committee, investigating the matter, that they did not have the 20,500, so they stayed till 8 a.m. the following day when the same doctor came to see the child and told them to prepare him for theatre. But what the CEO of Kenyatta National Hospital is saying is that they were only told that that is the money that will be required for the whole process, saying that Mudhoni was only told how much he would need, and as is usual in the case when someone is processing admission and in matters of such emergency cases, money is not required on hand. They actually treat the case immediately. So we'll wait to see an update on that particular matter. Government to start mass measles vaccine campaign, and the drive is targeting 1.2 million children in response to outbreak in several countries. In matters Azimio leadership, they are lined up for powerful jobs. This is after the president asked Kenya Kwanza MPs to support the proposed bill seeking to change constitution and create new seat for candidate or party that comes second in the presidential polls. And some of the job description or the power that they will hold have been briefly described there. And one is that they will be in a position to nominate IEBC bosses who will be considered for electoral commissioner jobs. Number 2, they will be shielded from prosecution during their time in office, but they can still be impeached. And number 3, proposing top commissioners. The holders will have free hand to fill opposition slots for constitutional commission jobs. They will also have tax-funded budget. And more on this story is on page 4 and 5. They're also giving the function of the opposition leader will also include being a symbol of national unity, respecting, safeguarding, and upholding the constitution, and safeguarding the sovereignty of the republic. Much has been described there. You can take a look at that. Still on the front page, phone users to pay more digital transactions. This is a message by the Central Bank of Kenya after it has brought to an end the waiver that it had during the COVID-19 pandemic over the fee waiver. So now people will be required from next year, January, to pay the normal transaction fee, and this will be communicated by the various service providers, and we have this on page 14 where they give a good description of that. So yeah, they have the transfer waiver fee that has ended, and this will be effective from January 1st. Between March 2020 and October 2022, Kenyans actively using mobile money increased by over 6.2 million, while the monthly volume and value of person-to-person transaction also rose from 162 million transactions. This is the data that has been given there. I believe it is as a result of the waiver that was given. Those are some of the news-making stories on People Daily. Lastly, call for action as 3.5 million learners to miss school due to drought, and that has been mentioned by Victor. Just something to add on to that is that the 15-member National Steering Committee on Drought Response has been mobilizing Kenyans to fundraise for for the people that are suffering because of drought, and the committee has so far received over 590 million in just a week after the launch, and now the country needs 17 billion between now and January for the mitigation measures across the affected regions. That is People Daily for you, Doreen.
Day of reckoning for party leaders as Bungoma votes. This is what you're waking up to on the Daily Nation. This is even as that by-election is expected to be taking place tomorrow. It's pitting away UDA, DAPK, as well as Ford Kenya. In fact, over the weekend, while the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, together with his counterpart Musalia Mudavadi, were campaigning there for the Ford Kenya candidate, that is Wafula Wakoli, they were actually raising concerns as to why UDA has fielded a candidate in this area, which is their stronghold, yet they have not fielded candidates for areas of Elgeyo Marakwet as well as Garissa. These are also the other areas where by-elections will be taking place next year on the 5th of January. So we're going to see how all this will turn out, at least tomorrow, when these by-elections will be held there in Bungoma County, and this is specifically for that senatorial seat. Also, Ruto's sweetheart deal to tame Raila and entice members of parliament. This is again expected before the National Assembly on Friday. This is as they were called for that special sitting. Actually, it's tomorrow as they were called for that special sitting, and so there's that expectation to table this particular proposal before members of the National Assembly to look for ways of predicating the position of opposition in law and also make it formal. But the burning question is that, is this even constitutional in the first place? Remember, what we have in the Constitution, Article 108, is just a clear spelling of majority and minority and how we form that and what exactly their roles are. But then, is this really even constitutional, and is this a preserve of parliamentarians for them to look into this and debate on the matter? And that's just why is the place of referendum in all this. This is some of the questions that are being raised, particularly by lawyers there, even as perhaps this particular proposal is going to be tabled before Parliament. And lastly, we look at matters education, where secondary schools lack the capacity to host junior high. This is what the president explained yesterday, even as that particular forum or convention is still ongoing in Mombasa, where primary school heads are meeting to just deliberate on matters education there. And this is where he got the chance and opportunity to explain why this government actually settled on a domiciling junior secondary schools in primary schools. And the biggest question and the biggest issue, so to speak, was the matter of capacity. You can remember also over the weekend, the deputy president has urged members of parliament to effectively use the CDF fund, which at least as of now we know that the AG already approved that, and so the treasury is going to be disbursing 2 billion on a weekly basis for this particular purpose, and so urging MPs to use this money to just ensure they construct the extra classrooms where grade 7, 8 and 9 will be placed, as well as laboratories. But what is coming out is that the issue of capacities is part of what informed what we now call JSS in primary schools. Regina. Just to sample what we have on this particular issue of the Standard. Basically, all of the stories are a replica of what the other dailies have, with the exception of a story here that is questioning the fate of the IEBC following the resignation of 3 commissioners, as well as a pending tribunal that is expected to sit to look into the conduct of the commissioners during the just concluded elections, so to speak. And this particular article goes to say a constitutional crisis at IEBC as officials leave. The Electoral Commission comprises of 7 commissioners and a secretariat headed by the Chief Executive Officer. The secretariat draws its mandate from the Constitution. And because the tenure of the 3 commissioners, including the chairperson, is coming to an end, the secretariat will be in limbo because they entirely depend on the commissioners for policy guidance and the discharge of their duties as provided for in the Constitution. This is CRICO Director Joshua Changwonye's take in regard to where we find ourselves in as far as the IEBC issue is concerned. Still on the local scene, anytime from now, we are expecting a live feed from State House. This is a swearing-in ceremony of High Court judges. We're expecting that link, so do keep it right here. And on the international scene, and what is seen as a big win in as far as the Manhattan prosecutors are concerned, is that Donald Trump's businesses have been found guilty of tax fraud. And this is a significant victory, and this was yesterday. The Trump organization is well unlikely to be fined more than $1 million, but the guilty verdict could hamper the company's ability to get loans and make deals, as well as obtain government contracts. This comes at a time when Donald Trump is already saying that he wants to be in the next polls. We'll be keeping tabs on what is happening locally, regionally, and internationally. Thank you for watching In the Headlines. Let's meet up tomorrow, same time, same place. I leave in the able hands of my colleagues to take you through the rest of the candid current conversations. I'm Regina Manyara. Have a pleasant day ahead.
Hoping to force a pass there with Wang Hing-chan. And good save from Alison Becker. It was a good strike. At least if they keep trying like this, they can have every reason to believe they can get something here.
They're not shy. They're trying. They're doing their best. But it was a very good save from Alison. So this is a surprise attempt.
Now here, good save by Becker. Follow up. Cleared out by Danny Alves, but Alison Becker, at least for now, you probably say, if there's a game I won't concede, it must be against South Korea.
That was a very good attempt at goal. I think Alison touched it, and they were able to defend very well, the Brazilians. They did it so well.
René found us out.
What did he find out?
Everything. He knows we're after the fortune of the Murats.
Oh, my darling. Not being a hypocrite, I've never cared about her, but this is horrible.
Yes, and I'm sure you were just as shocked as I am. But then it's just that.
There's a high probability she's going to try it again. We will have to keep a close eye on her. But I can almost assure you that if she could communicate with us, she would surely ask for an assisted death.
You can't imagine what will happen when your mute starts his campaign. And you're gonna be ruined.
You came here to Paris so you can help Osvaldo, but also to help Gonzalo, right?
All right. Welcome back. Now today, as Regina told you, anytime from now we'll be expecting that link from State House where the President will be swearing in judges of the High Court to take up their positions in their various working stations. We'll be giving that link as soon as we get it from State House. And again later on, later on in the day, the President will also be heading to Mavoko to launch the affordable housing project, and that is part of the government agenda to have the 200,000 housing units across the country to bridge the deficit of the affordable housing in the urban centers. How is that going to be later on in the day? Again, we'll bring you that particular story in our subsequent bulletin and in details. But to understand more about the affordable housing in the country as part of the government's agenda, I have got Winnie Gitar, who is the COO of Kwangu Kwako Real Estate, right?
Kwangu Kwako Limited, yes.
Exactly. Yes. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
This comes at a time when many Kenyans are still grappling with the case of affordable housing. But let's start where we should. This is not the first time the President is launching the case of affordable housing. It was there in the last regime. It didn't take off as was expected. Again now, based on the previous regime, he's following up on the agenda, which was there, the Big Four agenda, the affordable housing, rolled over to the next government. Yeah. What is your take on that as a professional in the industry?
I think it is a good agenda, as it were, because we have a limited amount of housing. We have a shortage of around 2 million housing, and then an increase of around 200,000 yearly as we go. So the incremental deficit is still ongoing. So it is a good agenda. It is apt, and it is necessary, as it were.
Yes.
Yes.
But the government, perhaps the last regime, was the last regime ready for the project?
I wouldn't say ready is a correct term. I would use, yes, it is a need that is there, but was it implemented the way it was supposed to, as deliverables?
Yes.
What is it that was lacking? Okay, in any project or in any company, we always find that somebody will find a gap. But the way to fulfill that gap is usually an issue. We might start with thinking maybe the customer needs X, and in reality, the customer needs X and Y.
Yes.
So how is it that you're going to meet both X and Y? In this particular case, yes, we have affordable housing, but is a gap really affordable housing, or on top of affordable housing, we also need social housing?
Yeah.
So what is the gap here, and how are the strategies going to meet the two gaps that are there? So the previous regime tried, and which is okay. They might not have met, but they started something.
Yeah.
So what lessons were there did the current regime learn for them to be able to roll out the current one at the speed they're doing? So they have to have thought about it to actually come up with another strategy and how else to do it, whether it is through partnerships or whether it is financing. But I believe they have something, they have thought about it.
The bottlenecks are there. You talked about social housing and affordable housing. What's the difference?
Okay, when you say affordable housing, it's the government usually has a particular, when you say affordable housing, is affordable housing to whom?
Exactly.
It's for which economic status are we talking about? Because affordable housing for people who earn more than 100,000 Kenya shillings is different from people who earn 50,000 Kenya shillings per month. So if you go to, I think they usually say 50,000 Kenya shillings, that one is usually affordable housing. Then less than that, say 30,000, those ones go to social housing.
All right.
So social housing are people who maybe they want to pay rent about 4,500 Kenya shillings or something like that. Then you move up the ladder up. The same strategy for affordable housing is not the same. It's not going to be the same with social housing. Yes. Social housing is going to need
even the structure
a lot
system
more.
Is completely different.
Its structure is completely different. So if you're saying affordable housing, then it is affordable housing for 40% of economic, are we saying 40% of those of the income bracket, or what is it affordable for housing for which one? So it's 50,000 from above. Is it affordable housing? Is it ownership? Is it rental, or is it both?
So what is the whole picture behind the scenes? How affordable is affordable?
As Kwangu Kwako, I will speak for myself. Affordable housing for us, we actually look at it not in terms only of owning a house. For us, it's also affordable in terms of rental, because not everybody can actually afford land and actually build a house. So we have to be real here. Not everybody can own land or want to actually own land in Nairobi.
Yes.
That is specific. There are people who are in first cities or second cities who are coming here to work, and then after that they go away. We carried out a survey, remember, in Kawangware, and we were asking people, would you like to own a house here and there? And they were like, no, I'm coming here to work. When I live here, actually I'm sending money home so that I can build a house. So it's not everybody who wants a house here or an apartment here. This is just a business.
Yes.
Ni shamba ya kulima.
Some people actually would prefer they have just a small structure somewhere. As long as everything is taken care of back in the rural area, then the rest is taken care of. But then that brings the situation. The first one was Homa Bay, which we understand that 11 acres have also so far been handed over by the current CS, that is Zakari and Jeru. And then the second one was in Rongai, 200,000, part of the 200,000 units. Again, now he'll be heading to Mavoko. When you look at the rate at which this is going to be implemented, this should, some would argue that these are urban or satellite towns that where all this affordable housing coming from. Does it call for a larger expansion between the urban centers and the satellite towns?
Okay, the fact that we have different counties having land or the government giving out land,
yes,
that is a start. That is the easiest step that you can actually have. The next step is construction, and then who is going to occupy those and under what conditions. It is not only the urban areas that actually have a deficit. We have rural areas also have a deficit. Urban informal have about 13% deficit. We have micro landlords have about 9%. Ownership or people who are usually building incremental housing have about 75%. So it is a whole value chain. It's not just one. It's okay to have land in secondary cities simply because we find that most people are employed in urban centers. So people want to actually walk to work or actually just have one matatu from home to work. So it makes lateral sense, so that at least we're finding that they are feeding the town to grow.
Yes.
So for him or for them, they're actually thinking in lateral way. Give somebody land for them, give somebody a house so that they can actually commute to work at the minimum amount. Also, it actually has something also to do with greenhouses, transport to work and things like that. Spending 4 hours from work to home or one way or something like that per day is a lot.
When you look at the curve, the demand and supply curve, where do they meet in terms of the demand for rentals, people looking for affordable housing, and then the supply? Where does the graph meet?
I think that is totally to the consumer.
Yes.
That is totally to the consumer because the market will dictate. If you, like I said, giving land is the easiest thing you can do. But what is the market? Which customer are you targeting?
Exactly.
What is it that you are targeting? For one, I can say, yes, you plant a house for me, but have you considered that I use charcoal to cook? Because if you plant a big building, I'll say plant because literally it's planting. You're planting a big building. This person is going to use charcoal. This person might use kerosene, and this person might actually have more in terms of what is it called, bills to pay.
Yes.
Because here you're talking about electricity. Are they ready to actually increase their bills to that particular? We are not talking about rent only. You got me from a place where I was maybe paying about 2,000 in terms of electricity. Then you take me to a place I need to pay for security light. I need for communal lighting. I need to pay for the security guard. I need to pay service charges. So my bill is going to go about 10,000. I wasn't prepared for that.
So who's the target market? When you look at the affordable housing, who is the target market generally?
For me, I would think it is people earning at least more than 60,000 and above, because we are saying if your bill is about a third of your salary, then that one works. A third of your salary, that is usually the baseline. It has to be less than that for you to actually have a housing. If your bill is more than that, okay, you're living okay. 40% is slightly okay. But if you go 50%, please, that is really a lot.
From the explanation, I would imagine the government should now bring it back to social housing from what you said, because 60,000, that's not affordable. How many Kenyans are earning 6,000 shillings and above to break it down, to pay rent, to meet all the utilities and what have you?
That is why I've said they need to study the customer for them to actually decide how much is it that is going to cost them to build this building, and which customer are they targeting. If they're targeting rental, then it makes a bit of more sense, because I think in Mavoko they're doing bed sitters, they're calling it studio houses. They're doing bed sitters, they're doing 1 bedroom, they're doing 3 bedrooms. So who is it that you're targeting? If you're targeting ownership, I might go to that building and buy 1 bed sitter. But if I'm buying 1 bed sitter, what are the mechanisms for me to move up? Because I'm not always going to be single. I am going to have children. And if I've not finished to pay the bill for this thing, and you're telling me maybe I want to move out of this house for the next 5 years and I already have a kid. So what mechanism is there for me to buy in so that I can move maybe to a 1 bed or a 3 bed, or can I sell, or can I trade it off to a different place? I have been told my job, I'm no longer in Nairobi, I need to go to Kisumu. So what is it that I'm going to do with this asset? Is it going to be transferred to Kisumu? So some of these things, there are very many intricacies and things that actually just interact.
What are some of the bottlenecks that the previous regime faced in realizing the affordable housing from your research, if you have any?
I think it is customer segmentation.
Okay.
Because I believe what they actually wanted was social housing, or some aspects of it. Because if they built a big housing and maybe it was 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, and then they gave it to one person, if they gave it to one person, the person was living in a single room, then you give me a 4-bedroom house, I don't know what to do with it. By the way, I'm seeing 3 other families living in it. So I bring up my 3 families, you rent there, you stay here, you stay here, and I stay in the kitchen. It's still a house. You gave me a house. That was one of those things that Kenyans are really nice in terms of finding a loophole of what is it that you're doing. Then from there, the only problem was the system, the infrastructure was not meant for all those people in that particular area. So that one will actually just mess your infrastructure. The other one is the person who moved out. When they moved out, they lent somebody else. They went out simply because you didn't consider that they were coming from a community. It wasn't just housing. These people were coming from a community where they were going Mama Mboga next door, they knew them, they could get their 5 shillings, their 10 shillings worth of whatever it is they were getting, whether it was maize, whether it was sugar, whether it is a small city. So if you move somebody from an environment, have you considered everything else that works in that particular environment? Those are actually challenges for social housing. If you're targeting social housing, you need to consider just not the house itself, but the water, the electricity. Some of these things they usually get at subsidized rate. Now you're telling them to actually formalize things. You're telling me I need to be able to pay KPLC, and those are tokens. You're telling me to pay, I don't know what. It is not there. Those are not bills that they were prepared to pay.
So who is the target market at the end of the day? Because a majority of people are still living, below that salary you're talking about. And when you look at the demand and the rate at which the government is going to build the 200,000 units per year spread across the country, perhaps there is a target market at the end of the day. But again, from your research, when you look at the rate of income, the rate of supply, and now the rate at which the government is going to build the affordable housing, where are they going to meet again?
I would believe it will take just more than the government itself. I think the private sector need to go at it.
All right.
Because in as much as housing is a national issue, yes, but we find that private sector, there are people who actually work next to the community. They will actually understand more how the market works.
Yes.
The current real estate businesses, whether it is private, whether it is owned by the community, people understand their own customers. And if you work with the current partners or the partners that you have on the ground, they will actually tell you, for this particular gap, this is the type of housing that you... For instance, our project, we have one in Kawangware. There are 2 segments. There's a segment where people actually just can afford a single room simply because that is what they can.
That's
it is
what they can afford.
Yes, it is a 10 by 10. If you tell them to maybe to pay rent 4,500, that one is okay. But the person providing for it is a neighbor, is the person who actually got that land from their father. They might not have any economic, they are just doing the common things, selling mitumba, whatnot, but they were grateful enough that their father was able to provide for them land. So this particular person will say, with the amount of money that I have, I can go to KWFT, I can go to whatever and say, I want a business. I put up my Babati house, or I put up my Kwangu Kwako house, which is precast concrete. And then I provide for these people because there is a gap. People need a house. The issue is, how decent is it?
How decent? That's the question.
Is it made of paper? Is it made of grass? Is it made of mud? It is a shelter.
Yes.
But the issue is, how decent is it? And how humane is it? So most of the time you find the community themselves, the landlords, we call them micro landlords.
Yes.
Because you have your eighth, you have your 50 by 50, you have your whatever. Then they provide for the immediate neighbor that they are. Actually, those, for me, I call them investors because they're investing in themselves. They can get capital, the ones that this person, the tenant, cannot. So they provide. If somebody else were to step in there, they will get in the information from there. Because they will tell you, Madam, hapo ukijenga nyumba hiyo pesa haitarudi. Here you will only build a house that people will take for 3,000 and they will pay you slowly every week because that is the amount of money they are getting every week. They will pay you weekly. Sometimes they will pay you in 2 weeks, and sometimes, because you know them one-on-one, you will have to relax a bit so that if they tell you, Madam nachelewa, you will understand and actually come and pick. Then you move to the other ladder where you find that it is from about 5,000 and then you go to 10,000, where you get into the house and akwambia, oh, we need for you to make a deposit and then you pay the rent. So that if you're moving from stage A to stage B, that is like you're paying 10,000 or something like that. And then you sign a contract. Now that is another group where you've moved up from 3,000. Now you're expecting somebody to jump from there and go somewhere where they'll pay rent 2 or 3 times above what is necessary. So there are usually several steps as you climb the ladder to maybe to become more prospectors. So it also requires different strategies, and all of them have players. Because they'll tell you mabati without electricity is 3,000. Mabati with electricity and maybe you have put some cement.
Understand your customers.
Understand properly. Yes. Because anything you add like this small of it, it's just going to increase the price. Yeah. If you have tiles and mabati, that one is a bit better. Then you go to precast concrete, that one is a bit better. And then you go to the stone house, where every Kenyan is thinking you have a house, a stone house. Then actually you have arrived. You've arrived somewhere where we call, yes, uko na nyumba, at least you are renting. Then afterwards, then you go and build your own, if you can. If you cannot, then it means you're renting. And then we are not saying just in town, then you can meet.
But do you think the government has done enough research to understand all these things you're saying? Because when you talk about affordable housing, and a majority of Kenyans are not in a position to cough that particular amount, in some areas when you increase rent by 200, 300, even 500 shillings, there'll be an uproar in the apartment. Nobody will be able to pick that. And when you talk about affordable housing, as Kwangu Kwako, you do a market research, and when you look at the private sector and the government, do we have a link?
When you actually have a business, half okay, you can get statistics from the government because they have the Kenya Bureau of Statistics. They have statistics. Statistics they have. If you don't have, they don't have. You have people like Habitat for Humanity. You have people like FSDK. All of them have statistics. Then one needs actually to position themselves, because I remember when we started in 2015, we actually wanted to do informal housing, as in informal settlements, and we designed our product in such a way that it can pass through alleys, because people will carry them. You can't get through cranes and things like that. Yeah. They had to be able to pass through alleyways, and they had to be carried. So a particular panel is about 35 kilograms and not more, and they can carry 2 people, or you can put them in a wheelbarrow. So when we started, we were like, oh, we are doing something nice. Shock, behold, you go and they're like, okay, the land does not belong to us, it is a communal land. So there is informal, people are building informally because you don't know whether there's going to be a road, or the government is going to say ABCD. We don't want our things to be flattened. Then you're telling the person, is it possible, even if it is informal, somebody else has permit to actually build there, whether it's informal permission or not, they do have. So you go to the person and say, okay, we are building the house for you, it is not free, we are not a charity, we are a business. So how is it that you're going to get funding? That you can't use your land as collateral. So what collateral do you have? Don't own it. You don't own it. Yes. Your neighbors might say you have it, but you don't own it. So it is not actually yours to use and to sell. So half the time you find that you're building mabati because you don't have collateral and you cannot access enough money for you to build a whole flat or something like that. So for us, financing for them was an issue. Yes, you want to put a big house, but you can't get money for you to build a better unit. So unless somebody else actually helps you to build it, that is why it is called social. You can't get across to it because there are other things, underlying things. There is land, there is chiefs, and there are things that are actually involved in this particular informal.
A whole level of bureaucracy.
It is a whole level of bureaucracy and don't know what levels that you actually do. So unless you have somebody who actually can take it, for a private investor, that's a bit difficult for a personal company. So we actually moved a bit higher. I'm not saying that we are going to the middle class. No, we were like, okay, so we want to build affordable housing, but we want to target people who can actually pay rent. So because we can't afford to be like the mainstream developer, we can't buy land and then start having land and then cut. And there are people already doing that. What is the gap? The gap is like we have middle class Kenyans who have land in Kawangware. We have middle class Kenyans who have land in Kangemi or whatever it is, the cities, I mean around the normal cities, around Kilimani, around Yaya, around Karen, all those people, because they feed the community, they feed them. That is why you have informal people or have informal land sprouting, because people feed them. They are finding jobs, whether it is your house girl, whether it is your gardener. They live somewhere, 5 minutes to walk, 10 minutes to walk. That is why they're living next to the city. So like, who is it that is next to that particular area and can provide housing? And normal people will find that it's just like, Madam, I want to provide for my community. I am living here. I don't want to park my Lexus next to a Mabati house. I want to park Lexus where I can bring people and they are okay that I'm helping my community. Because the same people who are building the Mabati house, some of them are very well to do because the return of investment is like this. If I were to actually say to the government, it's like, these guys, people actually know there is land. Why don't you use people who have land and actually make them build? They are business people. It is not charity, it's not free. The more players that are there, the better for you. Because as much as we're saying there's a deficit, somebody else is meeting at the moment. Nobody is living under a tree or under a bridge. Somebody is doing it. Why not give them the way or support them to be able to deliver more? Whether it is through financing, whether it's through helping them have some tax relief or something. Incentivize people. There are a lot of players actually doing stuff, just normal Kenyans.
Have you gone through the profile of the government project, the government idea of the affordable housing? Do you have a bit? A bit.
No, I'm not an expert in it, but
okay. But then, what is the demand? Single, as a bed sitter, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. When you look at the age group as well and the rate of income, what is highly on demand from your experience?
I think young people are really, I think our population, the young is a lot. So I would actually say between bed sitters is for people who are starting. That is normal for people who are, maybe it's small, you start small. So I would say it's a bed sitter, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. That one I would say. That is a lot for a growing population. Also depending with the amount of space that you need for your young family. It's a lot. So for me, I would say maybe single bed sitters, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom. That is for affordable housing, I would say. Not social housing. Social housing, you need another aspect.
All right, let's take a break. And we come back. I know this is something that is touching on many Kenyans, because when you talk of affordable housing, the issue of paying rent of around 50,000 shillings and the rate of income in the country, the way economy is right now, is something that perhaps the government should also think of based on what you've said. We'll be discussing that when we come back with Winnie. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back with more. Minutes gone already. Oh, you need water.
Forget him. But didn't you tell me clearly that you could never give up on Genova? Because you love him that much. If it isn't something you could ever do, how could you have me do it?
We're running out of time. If Father really breaks out of the bell, our people will pledge loyalty to him. It'll be too late to ask Celestial for help by then.
River has been acting up lately. I wonder what is the reason behind this.
We'd better be very careful. It appears to be serious.
Remember when I first came to Skywall? I was such a baby.
I knew you could play the zither. And every day I would bug you to play for me. Do you remember that?
Hayawi huwa kinyang'anyiro cha kombe la dunia nchini Qatar chang'oa nanga Novemba 20 hadi Disemba 18, huku timu 32 zikiwania taji. KBC Channel 1 inakupa fursa ya kutizama mbashara kipute hicho kutoka Qatar nyumbani kwako. Runinga ya KBC Channel 1 inakukaribisha kwenye kipindi cha Dunda Qatar.
Nakwambia kwamba baba, alama ya reli ni Dunda Qatar.
Na tunakuja nyumbani pale mtaani pale ambapo upo wewe mwenyewe.
Huku ukijishindia zawadi chungu nzima.
Hapa kumejaa vitu kocho.
Jongea. Shabiki kwenye Dunda Qatar.
Ukitazama unashinda.
KBC Channel 1, wenzio wa 30 michezoni.
Welcome back. All right, if you're just joining us, we are talking about matters affordable housing. The government will be launching another phase of that project in Mavoko later in the day in an effort to bridge the deficit of 200,000 units per year as per the government promise. With me here in studio, I have got Winnie Gitao, who is a CEO of Kwangu Kwako Limited. But let me ask you a question, Winnie. The link between the national government and the private sector, how tight is that link?
I believe it is, there's a link, but how tight is it?
Yes.
Is different metrics. Because a private sector needs to actually have the government permission to actually build, whether it is because of building permits, building codes and things like that. We are interlinked because we are in the same country. So it is actually linked, very well linked. Yeah.
So have you had any kind of a symposium or a meeting with the government so that whenever there is a project between the government and there's a private sector, then there is a complete flow and a smooth flow of information, perhaps to outsource, or government does everything by itself?
I believe the current one that they are going to do at Mavoko, they have involved EPCO, which I believe it is a construction company or a real estate that has been there for 40 years, so it is privately owned, if I'm correct. So in terms of the government working with private partners, it's already working. I would say the question is, which partners are they? Because there are different kinds of partners. The current one that they have chosen, it's a very old company and it's well off. If people are having, shall we say, a revenue of about 5 million according to their webpage, and they're having a turnover of about, they can actually have manage to build or have projects up to, I think they said something to do with 10 billion or 12 billion. These are people that actually have a lot of cash flow. They can actually cushion in the event that there's a gap.
Yes.
Most private companies, I would speak for myself, or people who actually in entrepreneurs or middle SMEs or other construction companies, most of them might not be able to withstand shall we say, the slow payment when it comes to maybe when you're partnering with the government.
Yes.
The delays in we can implement, but the delay in paying people back, they do not have the cash flow to actually warrant that particular delay.
Your business will stall.
It will fail. It is not stall. It will flop because you need that cash flow. You need somebody to actually pay you so that you can work. After you work, you need somebody to pay you off. It matters a lot what the payment plan is. If you're telling somebody before you build, you give me 50%, then you give me 50.
Yeah.
I will do my 50%. After I've finished, I've reached the milestone, you need to pay me the 40%. Then you pay me the 40. Then from there, you will pay the balance after I've done. So you need to have that particular payment plan respected. But if you're paying 50 and then you stall, and then there's a payment gap of whatever, for whatever reason. So the building is stopped in the middle because your company, you can't go any more than that. You need to pay people, you need to pay your suppliers. They don't understand about that one. You need to pay your suppliers. Other projects are also waiting. So it actually depends on which partners we are. But most of the time, it's because I would like to work with the government, whether it is building or affordable housing or actually any other, whether it is schools and things like that. For me, my big issue is cash flow. I need you to pay me back. I need you to pay me for me to be able to do your job.
What is your target market?
Our target market is usually rental, and we work together with micro landlords. We work with people who have land, because those ones are the ones that are next to their customers. So a person like, say you, Victor, you have land, and you have land in Kawangware or whatever, and you're saying, in this particular market, I can see the need here is 1 bedrooms, or I can see here the need is bed sitters. You as Victor can actually access financing because one, you have a job, you have a pay slip, and you have somebody who can actually sign.
Exactly, as a guarantor or something.
For you, you're okay, you can get the money. So as Kwangu Kwako, you come and tell us this is what we do. You come, tell us this is a design, we come and build for you. Then you pay us off. You remain taking the rental, because for you it is a business. It is, you're not giving away these things. That is for you is an investment.
That sounds like an off plan?
It's not. It's not exactly an off plan. You can say it is an off plan if you look at it that way. But you've bought our products directly, and then we construct for you. Remember, it is rental. None of your customers are actually there. They have not contributed anything. For you, Victor, that is your investment. This is your business, and you want your return of investment maybe for the next 7 years. You have other businesses. So for you, it's okay. And if you go to the bank is not going to rely on this revenue that you're going to get from this particular project. They will rely on your salary or on another second stream of income that you're actually getting. For them, this is an experiment. Can you prove to yourself that it actually works? After it has actually worked maybe for 6 months, then they can say, okay, we can see that there is revenue. You can actually build another one based on this asset. So you actually go like that, because the bank will be like, this is an experiment. You need to actually see that it has an income for us to benefit.
And what is your target market?
Like I've said, it's affordable housing. A middle-class Kenyan who has land, or anybody who has land, then we come in and build. You can access financing, then you pay.
How did you come with this idea? Because it's completely not like the rest of the ideas people have, or the tenants of the real estate companies have around.
It's because we believe that we trust the normal Kenyan to actually want to work with others. They already have land. You have a piece of land. I want to bet everybody in this studio, or at least half of them, have land somewhere. So why not use the existing land? I'm not the government. I can't be given land. Me as Kwangu Kwako, that means I have to buy land and then have to substitute. And when I'm buying land, it is so expensive in Kawangware. If you actually want to buy land, you have to go outskirts of Nairobi. And who wants to go outside? The people that we actually funding, or the people we actually targeting, our customers that we are targeting, are people that are being paid maybe 20,000, 30,000 Kenya shillings. If you're paid 30,000 Kenya shillings, it means the rent that you can actually afford is a third. That means it's 10,000 or less. And for that, you'll get a bed sitter.
Okay, let's take a break.
Yes.
I'm told that we have that live link all the way from State House Nairobi here, where the president is now overseeing the swearing in of High Court judges. We have to go straight to State House and take that link live, starting right now.
And the judicial system of Kenya, and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. I now call Ms. Mongare Josephine Wayua Wambua.
I, Mongare Josephine Wayua Wambua, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with the Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times, and to the best of my knowledge and ability, protect and administer and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya, and in promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. Next I will call Ms. Nyaundi Patricia Mande.
I, Nyaundi Patricia Mande, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence in the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me. I will at all times, and to the best of my knowledge and ability, protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. I will now call Kavetsa Diana Rachel to take her oath of office.
I, Diana Rachel Kavetsa, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times, and to the best of my knowledge and ability, protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. I will now call Chirchir Sophie Chebet to take her oath of office.
I, Chirchir Sophie Chebet, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and the customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence in the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me. I will at all times, and to the best of my knowledge and ability, protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, I will call Sifuna Nixon Wanyama to take his oath of office.
I, Professor
Sifuna Nixon Wanyama, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times, and to the best of my knowledge and ability, protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya, and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. Next, I will call Sharif Mwanaisha Saida to take her oath of office.
Yes. I, Mwanaisha Saida Sharif, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times, and in the best of my knowledge and ability, protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view of upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Next, I will call Nyaga Heston Bogo to take his oath of office.
Mbogo, gently people and the Republic of Kenya, and to impartially do justice in accordance with and the laws and the customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial function entrusted to me, I will at all times and to the best of my knowledge administer and defend this constitution to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya, and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. Next, I will call Chigiti John Mugwimi to take his oath of office.
John Mugwemi Chigiti, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya, and to impartially do justice in accordance with the Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic, without fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times and to the best of my knowledge and ability protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya, and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. Next, I will call Mulwa Peter Mutua to take his oath of office.
I, Mulwa Peter Mutua, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established, and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times, and to the best of my knowledge and ability, protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya, and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. I now call upon Ndhiga Lawrence Mugambi to take his oath of office.
I, Ndhiga Lawrence Mugambi, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by the law established, and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times, and to the best of my knowledge and ability, protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya, and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. I will now call upon Mutai Gregory to take his oath of office.
I, Mutai Gregory, Judge of the High Court, do solemnly affirm to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times, and to the best of my knowledge and ability, protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it.
Thank you very much. I will now call upon Wananda John Robert Anuro to take his oath of office.
This on the left side.
I, Wananda John Robert Anuro, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times and to the best of my knowledge and ability protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. Next, I will call Mohochi Samuel Mukira to take his oath of office.
I, Mohochi Samuel Mukira, Judge of the High Court of Kenya do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic, without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence in the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me. I will at all times and to the best of my knowledge and ability protect and administer and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. Next, I will call Olel Francis Rayola Ochieng Odhiambo to take his oath of office.
I, Olel Francis Rayola Odhiambo, Judge of the High Court of Kenya, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established, and the laws and the customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In exercise of that judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times and in the best of my knowledge and ability protect, administer, defend this Constitution with a view of upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary, the judicial system of Kenya, and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and the integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. Next, I will call Githiru Frida Mugambi to take her oath of office.
I, Githiru Frida Mugambi,
Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times and to the best of my knowledge and ability protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. Next, I will call Magare Dennis Kizito Ngono to take his oath of office.
I, Dennis Kizito Ngono, a judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and by laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political or religious or other influence in the exercise of judicial functions entrusted to me. I will at all times and to the best of my knowledge and ability protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect of the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I will call Macharia Florence Wangari to come and take her oath of office.
I, Masharia Florence Wangari, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times and to the best of my knowledge and ability protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect of the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. Next, I wish to call upon Odera Teresa Achieng to come and take her oath of office.
I, Odera Teresa Achieng, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution and by the law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times and to the best of my knowledge and ability protect, administer, and defend the Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and the respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, integrity, and integrity within it. So help me God.
Thank you very much. I now call upon Visram Alim Al-Nashir to take his oath of office.
Halim Al-Visram, Judge of the High Court, do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya and to impartially do justice in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws and customs of the Republic without any fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence in the exercise of judicial functions entrusted to me. I will at all times, and to the best of my knowledge and ability, protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity and respect for the judiciary and the judicial system of Kenya and promoting fairness, independence, competence, and integrity within it. So help me God. Thank you.
Your Excellency, this brings us to the end of the swearing-in ceremony. On behalf of the Chief Justice, who is represented here by the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice, the Judicial Service Commission, and the entire judiciary, I want to thank you most sincerely for finding time to preside over this swearing-in ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Registrar. As we are coming to the close of this ceremony, I will, immediately after this, I will invite the newly sworn-in judges to proceed to VIP 2 gate for a photo session with His Excellency the President. And at the same time, I will request the members of the family to proceed to the dining hall for a cup of tea. It is now my singular honor to invite His Excellency the President to address this gathering. Your Excellency, sir.
Madam Deputy Chief Justice, the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, members of the Judicial Service of the Republic of Kenya, distinguished judges sworn in this morning. Good morning. Maybe so that I can be audible. Let me say again, good morning. This morning is yet another occasion when we are consolidating the place of Kenya as a democratic country. The swearing in of these great men and women to serve in our judiciary confirms to us that Kenya is an independent country and all our institutions of governance are working. It is my singular honor to say congratulations to all the judges sworn in this morning. Pongezi. You have been selected from a big pool of many Kenyans who would have wanted to serve in the positions that you now do
It is a privilege, it is a great honor to serve your country as a judge of the High Court. And to you and your families, I want again to say congratulations. I'm among the people who listened very carefully as you took your oath of office. And just in case, you know, sometimes when you get to a place like this, maybe you're not listening to what you said. Let me just let me just paraphrase. I mean, among the four things I had you clearly say in front of all of us and in front of the people of Kenya. Number one, you swore in the name of God, the Almighty God. I know you're aware the enormity of that solemn commitment. As you write those judgments and as you consider every issue that will come before you, remember that you swore in the name of God. Secondly, you have sworn to diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya. The back of your mind, as you consider all issues, and some of them will be very difficult, just remember that you swore that you will serve the people of Kenya diligently. And I am very confident that going through the rigorous process that the Judicial Service Commission has subjected you in interviews, I have no doubt in my mind that you have what it takes to serve this country with diligence. The third thing that you have told us this morning is that you will be impartial and that you will not be influenced by ethnicity or religion, and that fear and favor and bias and ill will and prejudice will not laze your judgments, that you will always do that which is impartial, and you will not submit or succumb to blackmail, intimidation, or threats from any corner. The fourth item that I have heard you say, and it's important that I do this because the high office that you have been appointed to demands. You have told us that in the exercise of your judicial functions, you will administer, defend, and protect the Constitution of Kenya. Always. Remember to administer, but also protect and defend the Constitution of Kenya. Because that is the basis upon which we are established as a nation. And finally, that in the exercise of your judicial functions, you will also mind about the institution of the judiciary, that it will be at the back of your mind that we have an institution called judiciary, a third arm of government, an institution that has a mandate, and that you will ensure that the judiciary is dignified and is respected, and that you will promote fairness, the independence, the competence, and the integrity of the judiciary. I implore upon you, as you discharge your responsibilities, as you consider all the issues that come before you, always remember that you serve in the judiciary of Kenya. We want the judiciary dignified, we want the judiciary respected, and we want a judiciary that promotes the values of our nation. And so it is your responsibility, individually and collectively, to ensure that our judiciary is fair, is independent, is competent, and above all, serves with integrity. I have no doubt in my mind that you have what it takes to do and to discharge and to live up to your oath of office. Again, from me, congratulations as you serve our country. Asanteni sana.
Right, and now that is President William Ruto at State House in Nairobi, presiding over the swearing-in ceremony of the 20 judges of the High Court, which were appointed by the Judicial Service Commission. And later on, the names were forwarded to him for appointment, and the JAC said that they considered based on merit, gender parity, regional balance, and competence. Let me just take you through the names of the judges who have taken oath of office today. Heston Nyaga, John Chigiti, Peter Mulwa. We have Lawrence Mugambi, Gregory Mutai, Robert Wananda, Samuel Mukira, Francis Ochieng, Fred Mugambi, and Dennis Mogare. Others are Patricia Gichohi, Josephine Mongare, Patricia Nyaundi, Diana Kavedza, Josephine Sophie Chirchira, beg your pardon, Mwaisha Said, Florence Masharia, Teresa Achieng, and Alim Visram. Of course, all the 20 judges will be deployed to different workstations across the country to start serving the country. Now, this one comes just days after President also presided over the swearing-in of 6 Court of Appeal judges who were rejected by his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta, citing integrity issues. Now, so far, this is the situation on the ground right now. We've just watched the swearing-in ceremony of 20 judges of the High Court taking place at the State House here in Nairobi. For this and others, we will be giving you more details in our subsequent bulletins. But of course, in his congratulatory speech, the President reminded the judges that they swore in the name of God to serve diligently and to serve the people of Kenya in discharging their mandate as judges of the High Court. All right, that was that. And back in studio here as we come to a close with our earlier conversation that we had. I had Winnie Gitau, who is the COO of Kwango Kwako Limited, a real estate. This is a complete departure. But before we continue, looking at that as a female, as a lady, 20 ladies sworn in as judges of the High Court, something to be proud of?
Yes. I definitely like the fact that it was actually half of the judges today. Yes. So I really I liked that, because half the time people like ticking boxes, as in I'm ticking a box of a third. Therefore, for me, I usually take it as you're putting me as a flower vase.
Yes.
So I better be recognized for my contribution as well as for my qualifications. So for that, that is above. I would say that was good.
All right. So as we come to a close, tell me the issue in just 2 minutes as we wind up. The issue of the public-private partnership with the government to realize the affordable housing. How is it going to be, and how do you think the government should work on it so that there's that smooth flow of this process?
Okay. So far, the president is actually looking at bridging the gap of around 200,000 shortage in terms of housing.
Yes.
That one can be done with the government, but I think it is going to be more achievable with other partners. It might be private partners. What other private partners are looking at, I think I mentioned about funding, payment. We are looking at infrastructure. Infrastructure is a bulk of actually a lot when it comes to expense. We are talking about the sewer system, we are talking about electricity, we are talking about water. So all the private sector, if the government actually provides infrastructure, roads and things like that, that is actually going to make lives easier for private developers, entrepreneurs, name them. Even if I'm saying the private Kenyan who is an investor, as I call them, middle class Kenyan, the first thing they have to think about is just not land. Land is available. Yes, I have land. The person calls and they say, is there a sewer system? No, we don't have one. So he's thinking about soak pit or septic tank. Then he thinks about biodigesters. That is just money going down the drain. If we have infrastructure, then it follows. People will actually help the government in delivering. It doesn't matter if it's 50 here, 100 there, 20 there. Give people incentives, tax incentive, or if they're coming in to ask for permits, make them faster. People have money. People want to actually build our country. It is ours. Hatuhami. So we actually want to take care of our own community. So give us means to enable us to work. That is a goodwill. That is all we're asking. Nothing much.
All right. What is your focus as Kwangu Kwako?
Our focus is actually rental, in terms of rental units in Nairobi as builders, manufacturers, and constructors. We are looking at people who are willing to step in for people who cannot afford housing or people who are doing a stopover so that they can build the house. We provide housing in terms of middle Kenyans buy and then people can rent for them. It is their business. The other one we are looking at is Kenyans usually use incremental housing. They don't have a lump sum. So you'll come and buy, maybe it is hollow blocks. We have different products. We have precast concrete panels as well as hollow blocks that are interlocking. Those are things that you just put them together and then you assemble them. So kind of like Lego pieces. It is easy, you just assemble them. You buy them, then you can assemble them, or your fundi can assemble them, so long as you have an engineer's drawing and the normal things that you do for construction. If you buy the materials, you can actually buy incrementally. You have 100,000 today, you buy the materials for that. You build your small thing, then you incrementally build your 3-bedroom or 100 buildings or whatever it is, whether it's rural or whether it is urban. Because housing shortage, we are not only saying the shortage is in cities or second cities. No, shortage is everywhere. So you need to settle people otherwise to create space for other people to occupy housing.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm afraid that we have so many questions, but because of time, we're not able to go through the questions one by one, but you ask questions. Thank you so much. We'll be responding to them. She will be back next time to answer to questions and even more as we talk about matters affordable housing in the country. All right. That is Winnie Gitau, the COO of Kwangu Kwako Limited. Of course, the president later on will be heading to Mavoko to launch the affordable housing there to bridge the gap of housing deficit in the country. Remember, 200,000 units is the mark per year for the government as the government agenda. That's where we stop at this particular point. Thank you so much for your valid company. My name is Victor Lowe. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
Rene found us out.
What did he find out?
Everything. He knows we're after the fortune of the Murats.
Oh, my darling. Not being a hypocrite, I've never cared about her, but this is horrible.
Yes, and I'm sure you were just as shocked as I am. But then it's just that.
There's a high probability she's going to try it again. We will have to keep a close eye on her. But I can almost assure you that if she could communicate with us, she would surely ask for an assisted death.
You can't imagine what will happen when your mute starts his campaign. And you're gonna be ruined.
You came here to Paris so you can help Osvaldo, but also to help Gonzalo, right?
These two sides are clashing. Of course, their first meet in August 12, 1995, when Brazil beat Korea by 1-0. It was yet another friendly and yet another opportunity now in terms of the pressure that is coming through. Oh, the set piece given away, and it's certainly no debate about it. He looks shocked, but it will be a penalty without a doubt. Deep into the box.
These are good things from strikers who do pressing.
Good work ethic by Charlison. And that's certainly a foul. Rafinha, and first yellow card will come through from the French referee. Oh, it will always be Wang Wunyang. He's the one who conceded the penalty. Got a yellow card in the last game and will certainly miss the next game if he does see this South Korean side qualify to the next round.
Very strong.
Hayawi huwa kinyang'anyiro cha kombe la dunia nchini Qatar chang'oa nanga Novemba 20 hadi Disemba 18, huku timu 32 zikiwania taji. KBC Channel 1 inakupa fursa ya kutizama mbashara kipute hicho kutoka Qatar nyumbani kwako. Runinga ya KBC Channel 1 inakukaribisha kwenye kipindi cha Dunda Qatar.
Nakwambia kwamba baba, alama ya reli ni Dunda Qatar.
Na tunakuja nyumbani pale mtaani pale ambapo upo wewe mwenyewe, huku ukijishindia zawadi chungu nzima.
Hapa kumejaa vitu kocho.
Jongea. Shabiki kwenye Dunda Qatar. Ukitazama unashinda. KBC Channel 1, wenzio wa dhati michezoni.
Rene found us out.
What did he find out?
Everything. He knows we're after the fortune of the Murats.
Oh, my darling. Not being a hypocrite, I've never cared about her, but this is horrible.
Yes, and I'm sure you were just as shocked as I am. But then it's just that.
There's a high probability she's going to try it again. We will have to keep a close eye on her. But I can almost assure you that if she could communicate with us, she would surely ask for an assisted death.
You can't imagine what will happen when your mute starts his campaign. And you're gonna be ruined.
You came here to Paris so you can help Osvaldo, but also to help Gonzalo, right?
Welcome back. This is still Good Morning Kenya.
And from matters purchasing, affordable houses, we move to a conversation that is crucial to ending any forms of violence against the female, any form of gender-based violence to the women and to the children. I'm talking about positive masculinity, and this is also in line with the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence towards women and girls. And for that, to help us with the conversation, we have Reverend Nora Naitore, who is the priest of the National Independent Church of Africa, a faith-based organization. And just next to me is Kendi Mudhomi, who's the gender justice advocate. So ladies, karibuni sana, glad to have you.
Thank you.
We want to talk about positive masculinity. Let's start. What is positive masculinity? Let me ask you, Kendi.
Positive masculinity is bringing in our men in this conversation of ending gender-based violence and promoting gender equality. So they need to be integrated at all levels, whether they're still boys or grown up, and in whatever structures they influence. It's about making sure that they're mainstreaming issues that promote well-being of the women and girls.
So for us to be speaking about positive masculinity, there must have been a need for that. So what has brought about this conversation about positive masculinity?
Well, over the years, the main perpetrators have been boys and men. So there was need to bring in and find a way of making sure that the men are doing something towards promoting the conversation. We teach about making the men understand the need of also coming together to change the norms and the harmful practices that have been happening in the community, for them not to be the main perpetrators of the violence that is happening.
All right, Kenny, I'll get back to you. Let me go to Reverend here. So what is your take on what Kendi is saying about the role that men have been playing in promoting, in the past at least, in promoting gender-based violence, and the need now to move to now integrate men into this conversation to speak against gender-based violence?
Okay, in this program that we are calling Positive Masculinities, our main aim is to bring out the best part of men, to bring the positivity in them, so that they can support in this fight against SGBV in the community. And so we believe that if we bring in the voice of men, not just the voice of women in the community, then we are going to take longer strides, and we are going to achieve our goals very faster if we involve women, men and even women in this fight against SGBV.
Okay, and in the church, there's been talks about misinterpretation or misrepresentation of religion on matters gender equality. So what do you say about this? Have people used religion in the wrong way to spread the theory that women are not to rise up even to the leadership positions, or women are weaker in the society and all that?
Okay, what I can say about the church is that the message that we have is that being silence is not spirituality, and so as a church we really need to speak up. And the patriarchal system that we have in the community is also in the church, whereby you find that most of the church leaders are men, and yet the congregants, the majority of the congregants are women. And so you find that women are not given a space to be leaders in the church. And so as a church, what we are doing is trying to change the narrative by creating awareness on the rights of women, gender justice, so that women can also have a voice in the church, so that they can participate actively in decision making in the church. And we know that this is possible because what has been happening in the past, we have a misinterpretation of scriptures, whereby you find that we have just a section of a scripture being used against women. For instance, when the Bible says that women submit to your husbands, you find that there are some people who take just that particular verse
and use it against
women. And so as a church, what we are doing is flagging out those scriptures that look like they are discriminating against women, and bringing out a new interpretation or an interpretation of how it is supposed to be, so that we can promote women's rights in the church.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about that particular scripture, because it's common and it's used out here, submit to your husbands, which is right. But what does that context mean in terms of a woman submitting to the husband? And I believe the same scripture also says that husbands are supposed to be like Christ, and the example of Christ dying for the church. So how are they supposed to marry each other and make it in a way that both genders support each other?
Okay, what that submission means that we know that the man is the head of the family.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the woman should be suppressed or her rights should be suppressed. It doesn't also mean that a man has a right to violate the rights of a woman at the family level and even at the community. What it means is that women need to respect men at their level, but then men have a role to play first of all. They need to love these women in their lives first of all, love them and provide for them, and then that's where submission comes in. Submission comes in terms of respect, respecting them, just like Christ is the head of the church, even a man is the head of the family, and we really acknowledge that and uphold that. But that doesn't give men the right to violate the rights of women in the family. That doesn't give them the right to psychologically or physically harass women. Yeah.
And have you brought, I'm staying with you for just a little bit, have you been able to educate the men in the church about this and engage them in this conversation? And who are you using to even speak to the men to know their roles, that being the head is not, beating up your wife because you are the head at the end of the day?
Okay, in this program that we are carrying out, we are calling it Positive Masculinities. And we are having community dialogues where we are bringing together men and women grouped in different age groups. That is young men aged between 18 and 35 years, and older men aged between 35 years and above, and even young women aged between 18 and 35 years, and the older women, that is 35 years and above. And so in these dialogues, we are able to flag out those biblical scriptures that look like they are suppressing the rights of a woman. And then through dialogue, through communicating, we are giving them an opportunity to be able to express their own views on how is SGBV taking place in the community and in the church. And then we are getting these solutions from these groups themselves. So it's a safe space because men are meeting at their own time, at their own space, and the women at their own space. And so they are free and they feel that they are safe to be able to express their issues. And through these dialogues, we are able to come up with issues where power and status have been used negatively against women. And these people themselves, when they come together, they're able to come up with solutions. And they're able to come up with other biblical scriptures that support women's rights in the Bible, because they are there. And through that, we are able to bring the change that we are expecting in the church and in the community.
Okay, and we'll come back to you to tell us about the solutions that the men themselves have come up with. But let me now get back to Kendi. Kendi, how are you bringing this about, bringing about positive masculinity to this man who's been raised in an African setup, an African culture where men are not supposed to cry, men are not supposed to show off their emotions, and these are some of the triggers that I could say maybe cause violence, if you agree with that. How are you able now to change their perceptions, now to believe that I can be vulnerable, I can change, I can do this and that?
Yeah, so we are looking at their mental health and we are convincing them with that. We need to remind them that the highest cases of deaths at the older age is usually from the men, and also suicide cases, those in drugs and substance abuse are the men. So we are teaching them to speak out and open up and make themselves vulnerable and approachable even, because the times have changed, and an empowered woman, a community where everyone can speak freely is the better community, other than the community that has suppressed the real emotions or the real thoughts and feelings that we have. So we are advising them and encouraging them to open up so that we find the ways to even mitigate what has been happening, expose ourselves to the new ideas that have been happening from the emerging trends and everything going on, and then from that they can be able to let go what they can let go at the moment and relearn and unlearn what they have been brought up to believe.
So would you say that moving to now the positive masculinity, is it about redefining what it means to be a man?
Yes. It's reminding them the community where everyone is embraced.
Yeah.
And where everyone is respecting the rights of the other person, the freedoms of the other person, the ability to express themselves, is the better community, as I said. So yes, we need to redefine what being a man is. I am no one to speak about that.
Yeah.
But yes, we need to make them approachable and, as Nora said, open up to the other parts of the scriptures that say what a man is. Because we have been focusing on who a good woman is. So who is a good man then?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and what is the problem? Because with gender-based violence, again, going back to it, we see it now more prevalent in this time, you know, and we are also tracing it back to culture, because culture is also a factor that is leading to gender-based violence. But in the past, we saw men protecting their women. When they went to war, they would even die just to protect their women. So is it really a problem of culture, or in what context is culture involved in this? And both of you can answer to this.
Well, it's a problem of elevating one gender over the other for a period of a long time. So automatically, even in the gender roles, it automatically became the men. But what if then there were other roles other than women cooking, other than women staying at home with the children? What if they were proactively involved in something else? Like right now we have women in the armed forces. I'm not saying that we would be put on the front line, but it has been as a result of elevating one gender to certain positions. In leadership in our own country, for example, you can see when even women ourselves are told to vote, our vote is drawn more to a man because he's known to be stern and firm and assertive and all the things that we are also teaching women to become. So it's also as a result of elevating one person over the other and thinking they would be the better preference as opposed to the woman. Yes, that would be it.
Okay, and Reverend, what would you say to that? Do you agree with Kendi, or do you think there's a root problem, a different type of problem?
I agree with Kendi that the socio-cultural norms that we have, especially the patriarchal system, it's deeply rooted in our culture, and that is what we are trying to change. Whereby men in our society, the way they have been brought up, from the time they were young boys up to the time that they are adults, they believe that they are supposed to be, they are superior than women, and so you find that the rights of women, they are not looked upon as it is supposed to be, because men feel that they are superior. They are at the forefront when it comes to decision making. They are better leaders, both in the church and in the society, and even in the political sphere. And so I would say that the main cause of SGBV is the patriarchal system that we have and the socio-cultural norms that we have. But that can change. If we come together, we dialogue, we come up with better policies, even the church policies and the policies in our counties and in our country. We can really be able to change the narrative and have a better tomorrow for the generations to come.
Okay, and also still on that, we have seen that organizations at least championing for the feminist organizations championing for this, the end of gender-based violence or gender equality, have been fought by men because they're saying there's no balance. Why are you trying to bring women above men, or why are you trying to make them seem more superior or important? And you've said the reason to some of the problems is because one gender has been made to be superior over time, and that is the men. So now the men are feeling like the women are being elevated too much, you know. So how are you trying to bring a balance to it and ensure that men understand that we're not fighting against you, we're together in this?
Well, data, because I always tell people, look at the statistics. The other day I was sharing with a young man and I was telling him, for a young girl violence and harassment started at a very young age. If we do our research and bring men together and bring women together, then the cases show that the women have suffered for a long time. There has been silence. We have been bystanders. Men have been bystanders, and they have watched and condoned some types of violence in their communities. So they need to look at the statistics. And the statistics, even though some might not be reliable if we just Google, but these CSOs and these feminist organizations, these women rights organizations have a specific reason why they are championing for the women. It is not a competition again. And that's why we have even started saying that we want to integrate the men, because the community is not women only. At the end of the day, we need to look at the kind of man living with our women, and we also need to look at the kind of woman, are they embracing the toxic side of the empowerment that we are trying to drive. So it's about showing them there has been a certain trend that has been going on, and we need to let go what is no longer helping us. And we still need to reserve what has been happening, but we need to reserve some of what has been happening, maybe the gender roles, gender statuses in some cases, but we need to also do away with those that have been totally harmful and oppressive to the women.
Okay. Yeah. And Reverend Nora, what do you say about this? In the religious setup, a feminist, at least some churches, they don't really embrace feminists because they seem it's like they're bringing an imbalance to what God has set up, because the man's supposed to be the head and the woman's supposed to be the neck to support. So what do you say about this?
According to Romans chapter 2 verses 11, there is no partiality with God. And then again we find Jesus saying in John chapter 10 verses 10 that he came so that we can have life and have it in fullness. And so this means that Jesus himself upholds the rights of all people, regardless of whether you are a Jew or you are Greek, a male or female, slave or free, all of them. Jesus came so that he can save all of them. That is according to Galatians chapter 3 verses 28. And so if you look at the biblical perspective, then it means that we are equal before the eyes of Lord Jesus Christ and before the eyes of God. And so I don't see a reason as to why it may look like we are bringing a woman at the level of a man. What we are trying to do is to eliminate SGBV in the community. And the only way we can do that is, first of all, as faith actors, admitting that we have a problem. We have a problem, we have inequality, and there is no gender justice in our community and even in the church. And then we try to change that so that we can really follow the footsteps of Jesus. You remember the woman at the well, that is the Samaritan woman, the woman that Jesus forgave, the woman that was an outcast, a woman that was divorced 7 times. But we see Jesus embracing this woman, and in fact she was the first woman to witness that Jesus is the Son of God. And then again, we still find again in the book of John, where Jesus is forgiving another woman that was about to be stoned, where Jesus stooped down and wrote on the floor. And when he was writing, he said that if any one of you has no sin, let him be the first one to throw the stone. And by the time Jesus rose up again, all of them were gone. And Jesus asked the woman, so where are the people? And the woman said, I do not know where they are. And Jesus said, then your sins are forgiven, go and sin no more. And this woman was about to be stoned by women because she was accused of, let's say, prostitution. You see, and the man was not there. Where was the man? Prostitution is between two people, or sometimes even 3. You have heard of that. But where were the rest? Where was the man? Why was it that only the woman was coming to be stoned, to be executed? And so Jesus is a very good example of equality, of upholding the women's rights, that we really need to recognize that women, they have a value. They are valued in Christianity. And so that is the gospel that we are preaching. And that is why we are even bringing men in, so that they can also be able to know where have they been going wrong and how can we make it right.
Okay, and you said that there are talks between the men in the church at least. So what solutions have they been able to come up with?
One, we have tried to flag out those social cultural norms that men have have been meant to believe from then when they were young up to the time that they are adults. And so men themselves, they have been able to pinpoint these norms themselves, and they have been able to say that this is not the way to go. We really need to respect our girls, we need to respect our daughters, we need to respect our mothers, we need to respect the women, all of them. And so, like now in my church where we are having this activity, we have seen a rise of women leaders coming up. We have taken some of them to theological colleges because women themselves, they have been given a voice. And the men themselves, they have been able to support them and finance them so that they can take
the roles.
Yes, so that they can take the leadership positions in the church. And so we are seeing some gradual positive change when it comes to gender justice in the church. We have seen the establishment of a young women fellowship, whereby the young women aged between 18 and 35 years, they have been given a safe space in the church where they can sit down and talk about issues that are affecting them without being judged. Through that, so many other issues have come up, such that as a church, we have also decided to come up with a course where we are taking some young women to be trained to be counselors, so that they can come down again and counsel the young women.
Community.
Yes, the young women in the church and even in the community.
Wow, amazing. And back to you, Kendi. Paint us a picture of how a positively masculine man looks like or behaves, so that someone gets a good idea of how it should be.
I always advocate for a good listener. When you listen, you're able to know what the other person is going through. They're able to open up. You're able to understand what it is they're going through. And with issues of gender-based violence, with issues of being a woman and what it takes to be a woman, we need a lot of listening. So for me, a positive masculine man is one who is a good listener, one who is open-minded and not so closed up. We've dealt with patriarchy, and patriarchy taught our men to be, what are you telling
macho.
me? So they need to dial down to how can I be more present? How can I be a better listener to you? How can I understand what it takes to be a woman? Because women go through a lot. Women have a lot happening in different structures in their lives, and men play a key role in all those structures that also women are in. So they should be a good listener. They should also be open-minded, willing to learn, willing to undo the harmful things that they have learned. And yeah, I think that those are the basics that I would recommend for being a good man.
All right.
Yes.
And what does it do, having positively masculine men, healthy men in the society? What will it change in the future?
We will have more present men because even the gender roles have this huge wrangle because the men know this is not my work.
I can't wash dishes.
Yeah, I can't do that. With the dishes, they will have to decide. But yeah, it depends. You know, as I said, if I listen to you and if I'm able to understand you, then I'm able to also be more proactive in your life and see how I can assist and how I can make it better. And I always tell the men, you don't have to look at changing the whole world. Just start within your circle.
Your home.
Can you be a better man to the sister that you have? Can you show them what it takes to be, who a good man is and who they should associate with? Yeah, can you show them the dangers of being this way and this way to avoid them being vulnerable to the types of violence out there? So we'll have more present men in our society, which is highly needed. We have lots of single mothers right now. What is the reason for that? Maybe they are not present, maybe they have a lot to juggle, but yes, they will be more present and available and vulnerable, and it will be a better place.
And will it help end GBV, all forms of GBV?
Yes, because one, they will have respected the rights of a woman. They will have understood the no means no, and it's not a yes if you try a bit harder. They will know that if I am just boarding my matatu, am I feeling comfortable if I just find the whole matatu is full of men? So it will also end that stigma we've been having of the spaces that we can be in without feeling the discomfort of being around men.
Yes. Okay, amazing. And Reverend Nora, it starts all the way from the family, how parents raise these kids. So how should the parents raise a positively masculine boy? How should they help them in their upbringing?
Okay, when you look at the household level or at the family level, I would say that it's very much important for the father and mother to ensure that from the time that these children are born, they are raised in a way that they understand gender justice and a way that they understand women rights.
Yeah.
And they can do that starting with the household chores that they give to these children. Why do you ask the young girl to wash utensils, yet the young man is praying out there? So they really need to balance this by ensuring that they do not create that difference between the roles of a young girl and the loss of a young woman from that young age. So that when these children are growing up, they will know that they are equal. The young man will be able to respect the sister, for example, and even the sister will have a voice. Because sometimes as parents, when we raise our children and we give priority to the man, and even the language that we speak in the family portrays that the man is superior to the woman, then we are not giving a voice to this young girl. And this young girl grows up feeling that, okay, I'm inferior, I'm nobody, I cannot be a leader, I do not have a voice, even if I'm violated. Probably that was my mistake. Maybe I was not dressed well, maybe I didn't present myself well, maybe my language was not appropriate, you see. And so we really need to bring them up in a way that a woman, a young woman, a girl, feels safe at the home first of all, feels loved and wanted by the father and by the brothers. That is the first man that a young girl engages with at the family level. And so let us make this girl feel safe and have a voice. Make decisions at the family level. Give this girl the right to make decisions at the home, at home. And then when we do that, now when they come to church, that is Sunday school, let us also have bring equality at that young age, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. Let us show them that they are equal before the eyes of God, because God created us all equal. And so when they are mature and when they come out to the society, this young woman will have a voice. She will be able to defend herself. She will know her rights. She will be able to bring out the best out of herself. That is, if she is a leader, she will be able to really embrace that and grow towards that. And I believe if we do that from our families and then to the church,
then it makes the whole difference.
Yes, it makes the whole difference.
All right. Finally, because we're ending the conversation, I would want to ask Kendi, in 1 minute, tell us how can we as female, we as women, help the men to be positively masculine?
Dial down on the pressure.
We give too much pressure to the men.
Yes, as she said, from the family level. The boys have a lot of pressure. Giving an example from my own home in Meru, not our home, my own community in Meru, the young men there are dropping out of school to take care of their families. So can their mothers still put the importance of, as much as the man is a provider, can they put the importance of this young man also being the best version of himself that he can be? Because a man is not only a provider. There's so much that goes into him even becoming a good provider. So can we give them the support? Can we give them the avenue? Some women say if a man cries, if my boyfriend cries, he's weak. Those are the habits of a weakling. So if we are part of that demoralizing group that is telling them not to open up, then it beats them down. So let's be more supportive to the men. I know we have been, and maybe it has been misused elsewhere or whatever, but if maybe it started somewhere, maybe from their parents, from the family level, from their sisters, being more accommodative, encouraging them to be more vulnerable and more open, then it would have made the whole difference. So let's support them and dial down on the pressure.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you very much, ladies, for the amazing insights that you have brought to this particular conversation. We have been talking to Kendi Muthomi, who's a gender justice advocate, and Reverend Nora Naitore, who's the priest of National Independent Church of Africa, a faith-based organization, and they've been talking to us about creating the positive masculine man And for that, we are all in it's a concerted effort on both sides. For the men to help us end the gender-based violence, we need to dial down on the pressure that we give to the men and let them be vulnerable and show emotions and all that. And for that, we'll have a better society and community. That brings an end to Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for staying with us all the way till 9:50. We meet tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. Remember to tune in. On behalf of the team, we appreciate you and have a good day ahead.
Kupata Waibrania kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *811 *817#.
Yesu Kristo ni yule yule, jana, leo na hata milele. Wahibrania 13:8.
Kupata Waibrania, bonyeza *811 *817#. *811 *817#.
Ngima chega gaska watu tegu, ngima che yat mugulel dangu, ngima che manguge, nyange begi putinai. Lale yo kimigi bagenge, lale yo Kitut FM gigosi, lale yo Kitut FM gigosi, FM gigosi.
98.0 Kitut FM gigosin.
Kasi leo makala kutoka BBC. Yaliomo vita vya maneno kati ya Rwanda na DRC, huku watu 50 wakiuawa katika eneo la mashariki mwa DRC. Baadaye Kenya yatazamiwa kupitisha sheria kali kuhusu matumizi ya dawa zisizoruhusiwa michezoni. Tutakueleza kauli ya serikali na wanariadha.